and I was gonna walk you through the high-level workflows that I put together in the simulation that we kind of use as a frame of reference for some of the other questions. So this top part's just describing the concept of what a trip plan is, and at the high level, it's just some repository, some place with a URL. It collects 3 pieces of information, and when you're done, it has some link. This link can be distributed through many different networks, and if you scroll down to the bottom, examples of types of network that you might have, and I'm still kind of working on it. You might have a social group, like a kayaking group. You could post out that link to everyone in the group, and once everyone has that link, they can start collaborating and filling that information. So you as a trip lead don't have to have that burden. And you're like, well, how might that work? Well, the way that would work, someone gets that link, that public access link where it says share a trip plan. You click that right there. You can go ahead and click that. I believe it'll take you to the next one. Oh, hit trip. Oh, yeah, here it goes. You're going to receive this link, and automatically you can start putting this information in. The person data, vehicle data, and you'll notice as you go through, and this is, once we have your real-life scenario, this will be populated to match whatever the scenario is. And we can make it editable. But this is what people would receive on your expedition. So if you had a social group on Facebook, you could post it to your Facebook social group. If you had a professional group because you were, the professional federation of, your Knowles professional network, you could say, hey, everyone in Knowles, it's the trip that we're doing. And so this is kind of that information where when you have this link, you can add more information if you're at an expedition team. And then there's some other parts there too where, and we'll get into that, where you can say, hey, I'm an emergency contact, and I would like to receive notification for this break the glass thing, which segues into your next question, what is break the glass? If you scroll down to the bottom, again, get that kind of that infographic. If you hit that gold arrow to the right, SEAL trip plan information, when you're done, you get this critical rescue thing, and there will be a special URL I was thinking that just says emergency. It's prepended to PanSurvival. That's your way of saying, right now I'm just trying to keep it simple. In the future, it could just be one URL, but right now it's an emergency access. And if you click that, you'll automatically say, all right, well, if you're saying this is an emergency and you want access to this information, you need to identify yourself. That is where there's some authentication. That's where I'm thinking right now you would need to have a PanSurvival account. If you don't have one, you win all that stuff. After you've created one and you're like, all right, I'm Andrew, whatever those account rules are. And there's 2 ways to do it. One is create a new account, or sometimes you can link it with an account. You have Google, and I don't know if how much online stuff you have, but you can reuse your Google or Facebook credentials. Long story short, provide a user ID and password, and it says, okay, for emergency access, and I can provide the reg behind it, but basically after you've identified yourself, you say, hey, I'm Andrew, and I'm going to give you all my information, my IP address, everything about me, and I am telling you there's an emergency. I have to have this information. That's all securely reported in an audit log, and an emergency access note is created, which indicates, what time, where they were, who said there was an emergency, and it sends out a notice to everyone. It sends out a notice to you if you've decided to provide your email, any of your contact information. If you provided your Twitter account, you would have a tweet from PanSurvival to you saying, at Andrew Kursk, a Alaska State Wilderness first responder broke the glass. They think there's an emergency. As well as anyone in your professional network that had subscribed or followed you would find out that there's some sort of an emergency. And that emergency allows other people, perhaps after the fact, maybe I was your emergency contact and you had said, hey, Tony, put in your information. Well, I didn't get around to it, but I saw the tweet, and I'm like, all right, well, I should probably log in. I can provide my emergency contact information now, because it's important.
Right.
So something like that was kind of at the high level. Still kind of need to. I'm sprucing up some of the other screens to address the other comments we had. But I was thinking, does this kind of basically? So I was thinking, this basically would be follows your use cases that that emergency access is going to produce that kind of that trip report, which currently is just that black screen with the white text. But I'll show you how I'm collecting the information. Trying to take all the information, enter it in the way that's easiest for the user, but then display it in the way that's the easiest for the first responder.
Gotcha.
And I'm if you're doing the first responder class, I've got to find my book on it, but where they had like the standard patient, the steps, in terms of what you're supposed to have. I was thinking, shoot, what's the name of the report? I'll have to find my notes, but there's do you happen to know the name? There's some sort of there's a format, maybe it's called a SOAP node or something like
the
that.
SOAP node. Yeah. The subjective, objective, assessment, and plan.
That was apparently. I thought we could kind of mirror the SOAP node or something like that, and my thought is we could just see what the first responders think about that.
Yeah, that'd be a great idea.
So, and then there's other things that we can add on top of that one, but that was kind of the high level for that. And so the things that we have not simulated is what does logging in look like. There's a login button on the top right corner. That doesn't do anything, but if you're on there, you always could log in, and if you log in, you have the ability to break the glass. What does breaking the glass look like? I've not put it in the screen, but basically it's going to have a text box or some pre-filled things. You could say it's not an emergency. I'm just testing to see how break the glass works. You might have a couple things to put in there, as well as on the monitor rescue. You might be able to log in yourself. If you are the one that's rescued, you might be able to log in and update the alert and say, okay, I'm safe now. Provide some feedback. So and I figure that's just kind of that link you could follow.
Yeah.
So
now
that was,
sorry, keep going.
So that was kind of the high level. I could tell you the questions that those pertain to, or or we could kind of go in the direction of your comments as you have them and kind of talk through them.
Well, I had a few questions on the screen that we could talk about. So is the link to the trip plan and the link to the emergency access link, those are two separate links at this point, right?
Yes.
Okay. Now, sorry.
Yeah. So the screen will look differently. So my thought is, maybe if it's emergency.pan, maybe that's the link that you get if you are an emergency contact or a first responder, and so you'll get a set of menu items based on that one. Versus if it's just PanSurvival, if it's a non-emergency scenario, it's simply collecting logistics, but nothing really emergency related.
Okay. Okay. So
but then, by the way, if you set that gold arrow that points to the left, that'll take you back to the prior screen.
Oh, okay. Cool. Awesome. Okay. So, let me just think for a second. All this is very new to me, so it's difficult. I'm not like super technology inclined, so I'm trying to just get some context and work from there.
And if we're doing it right, this is supposed to not. I really want to make sure it's not trying to make it as user friendly as possible.
Right.
To kind of see this. So my intention is, I'm not sure exactly if this is what the end user would see, but I figure this is just kind of a good visual way to kind of put our use cases.
Yeah.
I don't know if that has to be in there, but then as we step through it, I then put in more instructions, like what is a digital repository. If you step through that one, I've added some kind of more detail on it. So if you click that digital repository, you can click that there. So I kind of give the heads up, this is what it's going to happen, and right now it's overnight trip. We'll tailor this one, but kind of let you know that, hey, there's a 3-step process. You have the yes or the no. All I did is I just added some more information on the right-hand side just to give you a heads up on what's going to happen before you go. So
that makes sense. That makes sense. Okay.
Oh, and then I think, so was this, I'm trying to think, I know I received feedback on several parts on one. I think you wanted to shorten up the wording, and just to let you know that the part on the left-hand side, the blue side, is approximately what your cell phone would look like, or the narrow width, and the one on the right-hand side, not necessarily even designed for a user. It's really kind of designed for your simulation exercise, just to kind of keep your notes.
Okay.
The one on the left is basically, that's all you'd see if it was in a mobile environment. Gotcha. Only that much. So maybe it's too wordy, like where it says, can we ask where you're beginning and ending your expedition? Yeah, but I thought we'd have some sort of, or please proceed to tell us where you are, beginning and ending your expedition. Might be better wording. I don't know if I had anything from you on that one, but
let's see. For wording, well, what I was thinking, I guess, is instead of asking if we can ask where they're beginning and ending, just say maybe like click proceed to enter your starting and ending points or something like that.
Don't have it as a question. So let me just type that in now.
Yeah, something like that.
So we're thinking, actually I'm going to put you here. You should hope you hear me still. Click proceed. That's like actually some of the hardest parts, just the wording. All right.
Yeah. The wording.
All right.
Wording's hard.
Proceed to share the beginning and ending. To share your trip route.
Yeah. That sounds good.
I'm going to put it in there in 1 minute. Let's see. It's under the trip form.
Yeah.
Feed, trip plan. Okay, and if you hit that like that refresh here on the top right, that just resets this one, but that one right over there, that'll just kind of reset it. So that you've got the new wording.
Oh, nice, awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, that's exactly what I want. Perfect.
All right, and I just fixed up the formatting a little bit. If you refresh it, the words go a little bit, or that blue arrow. Traveling with anyone else? No, I'm not. Oh, that's under group. I got to do it for individual too. Sorry.
Gotcha.
Okay. Yeah, because group is let's look up.
Everybody say it again.
And let's look up existing trip information. If you refresh it one more time, the feedback on it, not the far right. All right, so traveling with anyone else, if you say yes on the group, this one's going to take you on some other scenario where you're going to say, let's look up existing trip information. You're going to say, like, I'm say what group are you with, you can say I'm with Alaska Pacific University. You'll have a trip that you can pick from. It fills it all out for you.
Gotcha.
On the other one, if you say no, that's where I just did that's where the wording.
Okay.
No.
Awesome.
Then you got it. Click proceed to share your trip route information. Then you go forward. And now that's going to let you know that your trip information has 4 pieces of information here. I am right here. This way of where you're starting is the old way. I've got 2 ways of indicating your landmark. I think you're going to like how so you can go ahead and just pick your landmark right now. Just drop down Eagle Ridge and click select landmark and go forward. Confirm starting location. This one here is a slightly different one. You can just go to the drop down, hit Church Gag.
Oh, okay.
Automatically. So I'm going to move it more towards that.
Yeah.
So, and then you get that feedback on that side. My thought is this will kind of let you know in the background what's going into that trip report.
Right. For sure.
And then you go, you want to leave today, and this is the part, time's going to be interesting. At this point, we're just going to assume that everyone's fine with using the time zone of the server of where PanSurvival is hosted.
Right.
In the future, if you had a special PanSurvival account, you might be able to put in regionalization preferences, saying, I'm in, kind of like how Google does. But I think it's really hard for us to, do time zone conversion if you haven't logged in. I mean, you're kind of asked.
Yeah, that makes
there
sense.
must. But, so. And then you'll see if you say, yes, I leave today, you'll see that we put in the time.
Nice.
I'm not sure what UTC stands for. That's just what it says. But if we know what that is, but you hit.
Is there an option to like put in the time?
I will. I'll make that. That will under yes, I will specify. Will be that option. I haven't made that where you can do it yet, but yes, I will specify. Will let you put in the date and time.
Okay.
But right now, I just have in this scenario, we're assuming you're just putting in as is. I was just doing that to, reduce the amount of screens to fill out to show how the trip plan goes. But
Gotcha.
I figure it would, right? If you selected the middle option, it would.
Okay. I get it. I got it.
So if you proceed here, it gives you some feedback, and see it. It's just kind of giving you some feedback. I'll need to come back and come up with the better formatting of it. Right now, it's just giving you the feedback with the information you have. Right now, it's in days.
Yeah.
And this is ideally, if I could get from you like a real route that you have, it'd be cool to kind of put that, to supplement or add that to what we have here. Arbitrary parks at the internet.
Yeah. Okay. Could you give me like what a potential scenario would look like a simulation would look like, and then I could create it or talk to my professor to see if we can like do something with the program? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, well, and my thought is that a potential scenario looks like the last trip that you guys went on. Basically, you guys are doing some trip for whatever. It could just be a recreational trip, a team building trip. I don't know if you guys have an outdoor club, but
we do.
A weekend version. Okay, so the scenario could be, and if the even best scenario is if you could use a previous trip, just reuse a previous, because then we have more data. If you could find the trip plans of the last trip that the Alaska Pacific University outdoor group used, and then use that to populate it. And then if you can get any other information about it, I mean, that'd be great if you can find, if not great. If there happened to have been an incident on that trip or anything else you can learn, we could add that to our simulation, you know, to kind of fill that out. But I guess that was the.
Should I could ask my teachers to come, because we do programs as like a class, like in school too, not just in the outdoor club. So I could possibly ask my teacher to have their trip plans from a trip that there was an incident on. Would that be better? Like a real
That
incident?
that would be, especially, and then that way, you know, you can make it as realistic as you want, you know, and that's the beauty of all the first, you know, there's a whole lot of reenactment,
Right.
but you can reenact it as, you know, the better you can reenact it, you know, the more realistic our survey will come from. And
Okay.
I kind of updated the high level document. I kind of was thinking, you know, kind of the purpose of the simulation is we really want to poke holes in the solution before it would really be used in an emergency scenario. And
Yeah.
so kind of going through that one, we can say, oh my gosh, this is really frustrating, you know, there's a linchpin of information we didn't realize that we needed. And I figure even then that's a success.
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, and then so that's, you know, ideally just the last one, and you know, starting and ending location could be at the same place. I mean, you might be just at a campsite, and you know, you
Right.
might in at one place and come back, and that's fine. And
That
right
was,
now, oh sure.
sorry. My other what was I going to say? Right. So if somebody were using this and they're kind of going on a on a hike, you know, and their ending and starting position or ending and starting location is the same, like we just said, I was wondering if there could be like a section where you can put in, like, I mean, I use the word intended goal, but it could be anything, and maybe just have somebody write in, like, you don't need a drop-down menu, or just have somebody write in something. So like, if I'm going on a hike to go summit Wolverine Peak, well, then I'm going to be leaving and starting in the same trailhead, but at least the rescuers would know what my goal is to get to the top. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I wonder if it's. I'm trying to think of. You know, if it's almost like if that's a part where you'd want to have multiple segments.
Okay.
What is a yeah? So or a goal, because that's if you could get an example, and so I think if you could give an example, so yes, can put that one in there, and so maybe instead of a starting location, what type of a trip would you? So one would be called a segment trip or a walk, because one trip is where you put in at one place and you take out at a different spot, and that's where it's just like a through hike, or
Right.
you know, hiking through a section. Another one is you're putting in and taking out of the same place, but it's a I don't know what you call that, but that type of a hike, a
Right.
goal-oriented expedition versus a through hike expedition.
Yeah, that sounds
But
good.
I see what you're saying. We'd want to delineate between that too, and so we could ask that question just before we get to where you're you know, after you ask where you're putting in at, the next question we would say is this are you through hiking to another location, you know, taking out, you know, ending at a different location, or are you taking out the same location and you're attempting to go to someplace?
Right.
I'll
Okay.
put in one more question between the starting and ending, and then
Okay.
if
Yeah.
that's the case, then what would happen if Eagle Nature Center were the starting and ending point? Say starting, ending is the first dot, and then the second dot would be target,
Right.
uh, location goal, or destiny,
Yeah.
the, and whatever the wording that your group would use would want to just make that familiar with it.
Okay.
I would.
Yeah.
Does landmark seem like a target landmark? Landmark objective. So we'll come up with some reading, some language on that one
Yeah.
for me to brainstorm it offhand. but then here you put in the duration. Right now it's just assuming days.
Right. Oh, I was going to ask if we can put nights too. Is that possible?
Oh, so that's an interesting. Okay, so duration of trips, or would you call them overnights? Trip overnights.
Yeah, I guess, yeah, trip overnights.
Is
I
that
guess I was just thinking that, you can say you're going out for 3 days, but if you're planning on coming back like the night of the third day, or wait, that doesn't make sense. I'm just trying to get to the, um, if you go on a 3-day expedition, but you want to leave, I don't know, the morning of the fourth day, so then you would be more like 3 days and one night, something. I don't know. I don't know where I'm getting at with that one.
it's that kind of like how many units do you want to go in? Like days are like, all right, we're doing units of 24 hours. It's not really precise.
Right, right.
Yeah, because
Exactly.
like, are you putting in the evening and you're expecting to take out at the night?
Right. Yeah, that's what I'm getting at.
Um, yeah. Oh, and so maybe it's like on the return, you're just like, am I returning in the AM or the PM? Yeah, because you could have probably a broader brush of when you're expecting to return.
Right. That's a good idea.
Right now, I just have to say, because my thought is, you will assume that something's wrong if it's the next day.
Right.
And I'm not sure when someone normally assumes that something's wrong. But right now, if you have days, it'll just add the days. And we're not specifying an end time just yet.
Okay. Okay. What was I gonna ask?
So,
Um, let's see. I just had a question. I'm blanking out. Um, oh, okay. So if uh, if you're an emergency contact, right? You
yes.
need. I was thinking you need some sort of like instruction on like what to. It can be really simple, but it needs to. But it uh, like if I'm an emergency contact, it would be helpful if I got like a notice saying that um, it's been it's been X amount of days or it's been 24 hours since last contact with the expedition group, and then get a note saying what you should do. So that would be like just share this link with the Alaska State Troopers and call them or something like that. Um, I guess what I'm saying is I just where am I?
Well, with the person monitoring the time, with the emergency contact receives, and if you hit confirm, it'll give us a good example. So you put in confirm here. Your emergency contact at some point gets this trip. Should they be independently monitoring, like outside of the system? They're expecting to be in touch with you at some point, and
That's
if
kind
they've not heard from you, they're managing it outside of the system. Because right now we don't have a scenario where you check out or check in,
right.
if that makes sense. So we're assuming right now that's kind of like a in like a out of band activity. It's not performed within the system. I'm trying to, so there's not really a check-in thing. It's because that's where it's almost like when I say that you're the emergency contact, you'll get a link, and you don't have a PanSurvival account. If you had one, maybe that's functionality you could have, but you'll just receive a link, a tweet, a Facebook post, or something from the person that put in. It says, all right, here's the trip plan. You're the emergency contact. And you can put in information, which means you get an alert.
Okay.
Maybe that's where, but maybe somewhere in that link, that's where it provides the instructions.
Yeah, yeah, that's exactly, yeah.
And that's where I was starting to kind of, that text at the bottom, got it, put in on whatever date, and I was trying to think about like simple guidance of who they should contact.
Right. I think that would be good if they had like a little instruction included in the link that they would receive. I thought that was a good idea that you just had.
Well, on that, with that instruction, would you just say, the Alaska police are one of the types of emergency contacts? I mean, and therein lies the difference. There's a first responder emergency contact, and then,
Right.
like a real agency, and then just non-commissioned responders or however. So if I
I
were to say, oh, it seems like there's an emergency, PanSurvival should tell you who to call or send the link to.
yeah, that I guess what I'm thinking is that it would require a lot of like I would need to do a lot of research to figure out what the instructions would be in different like geographical locations. But if we do a simulation where it's in Alaska, then I can give
Yeah,
you what the instructions would be, and then we wouldn't have to worry about it. You know what I mean?
that would be. We could target it for that one, and then you could ask the responder saying, okay, well, we have the simulation. If something went wrong, who should we contact, and how would we contact them? That way, we could kind of figure out, some of these people. I'm not sure how they get in touch with them. Assuming they all have internet, but you know, that's would be nice to know, how you engage those different groups.
Right.
You give them a call and then send them a tweet while you're on the phone with them. Do you give
Right.
them a
And that,
call, tell them to turn their
yeah.
fax machine on?
I, yeah, I don't have like an answer to that, but when I go and meet with the Alaska State Troopers, I'm just gonna up front ask them like what they would want somebody to do exactly, and what they would want them to say when they get on the phone, so that maybe I could include even like a little transcript of what you're supposed to say.
Yeah,
Um,
and I
but
would think this where it would be unique for each different rescue agency.
right, yeah,
Um,
it would, yeah,
but I mean, ideally, it would be cool if all these rescue personnel had some sort of web-enabled device, and you could just blast that URL out to everyone in the crew and say, all right, this is what we have. Um,
right,
and if it's on the PanSurvival, the cool thing for that is the um, the alert would go out, and perhaps the emergency contacts would provide more information now that they see that there's an alert. So it could progressively be getting,
right,
continuously getting more complete.
yeah.
So anyway, that is a good question. If you scroll down to the, uh, I guess we could go down, but that I don't want to. Well, I guess we go through here. If you hit confirm, and I just kind of made it slow down there. Oh, I should have it populate the ending date. You're done here. This this link is you can you've got this link. You can send this to anyone, and there's really kind of two ways. The way it's done right now that I've seen with just using my Appalachian Trail experience is you
Right.
proactively leave a piece of paper with the park ranger. That's one scenario, and then I'm not sure what engages them. If they just notice your car has been there for too long, maybe then they go look for your paperwork. So sometimes you proactively give them information. Is that something that you do here, where that link, PanSurvival will proactively give this information to the park ranger, or is it something where it's reactively done, which means someone else is going to reach out to them? So I guess
I
that's
I guess initially what I think right now is more it's reactive, because if I had to, because I feel like if people were to start using this, or like in a long-term scenario kind of thing, if the park ranger gets all of these different documents, well, I don't know actually. Um, I guess I'd have to think about that a little more, but I'm thinking reactively at first. What are you thinking?
well, I mean, reactively. So, I mean, the information's going to be fine one way or the other. I don't know. I guess it depends on um, what their experience is. So if they are a first responder that's not affiliated with PanSurvival, they would definitely be reactive because they don't know PanSurvival even existed. Or the first ones will never know PanSurvival even existed. They're going to receive an excited phone call saying, you know, we're looking for someone, and they're going to receive information. They're going to say, oh, you have an internet, let me send this to you. Or you have a fax machine, let me send this to you. And they're just going to get this information. The proactive one, I guess maybe they would be registered. They would have a PanSurvival account, and maybe that information would be on file. But yeah, I think reactive is probably the link. So assuming that they don't have anything, but it would be hard for them to break the glass if they don't have an account.
Right, right.
So that's where someone else could break the glass. Like if I'm your emergency contact and they're like, hey, we don't have a PanSurvival account. This is an emergency, and we have no interest in getting a PanSurvival account. I could say, okay, well, you know, I'm going to break the glass. You know, I'm Andrew's emergency contact. That information comes out, and I said, okay, well, I have the trip report. I can read it to you over the phone, or I can fax it to you, but I can, you know, let me know how to get it to you. PanSurvival just provides an easy way to get it electronically, and if for some reason, so I guess that's where it'd be nice to know how a remote person can get information to a first responder.
Right.
And I'm sure you don't want the rescue to be dependent on them reactively, you know, in a pressure situation, getting signed up for some account.
Right. Yeah, I don't think that would be realistic. Like, hurry, sign up for the account, and then we'll get you the information.
Yeah. So I figure that your emergency contact's going to be the one to break the glass for you.
Yeah, and then they would break the glass, I guess, and then once they do that, they would, I guess, I don't know how the Alaska State Troopers would want to receive the information, but I'll find that out.
Yeah.
And then, okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, and so that's the part where if they have phone, obviously, your emergency contact can break the glass and read it over the phone, and they can indicate that, saying, all right, I'm Andrew's contact, it's an emergency, I broke the glass on his records, and I'm giving the I'm reading this to the Alaska State Troopers, but I also informed them that they could use a web address or something.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Count. Okay. Okay.
But regardless, this thing will still be successful because it will have produced all the information in an efficient, nice-to-read format.
Right.
The question is, will you be putting it up and hand delivering it, faxing it, or will you be able to send a URL over to them?
Right.
So.
Okay. And I'll find that out on next Tuesday. I think that's the day. Yeah. Okay, and then I'll get you that info.
Cool. And I've got more where I kind of put some stuff into it, but just to kind of go over the graphics. So share this trip container to compile rescue information. So my thought is anyone you send this link to would have the ability to add rescue information to the group. And I think in the workflow there will be something for emergency access, and they might get the emergency.pansurvival.com. So when they click person data, they're like, oh, are you someone's emergency contact? And you could say, I'm this person's emergency contact, or something along those lines.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes sense.
So, and then I updated if you hit the person data, I did some updates kind of similar on this vein.
Oh, nice.
Type of thing. And this is a part where would you like a PanSurvival account? The benefit, if you say not now, open access, no security, well, The thing is, if someone breaks their glass, we don't have your electronic address.
Right.
Good news is, if someone breaks the glass, they have your information, you'll get rescued. The bad news is, if someone broke the glass for nefarious reasons or who knows what, you're not going to receive an alert. You can always add it later.
Right.
Okay. But to get this, so it's either not now or yes. If it's yes, you're going to do some sort of verification. And my thought is you can add as many social media accounts as you want. I mean, if you want your Google,
right.
It's not really a big deal. And all that's going to go through is you're going to get that alert on all your channels.
Gotcha.
And right now I just have the not now simulated. But figure that's kind of hitting them up. This is the link. If we depart, just use this link. Otherwise, the verified access is like, well, don't worry, just come back to PanSurvival and log in, and you don't have to remember your URL.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, that was one of my questions in the comment section too. So that was good. Okay.
Yes, and and this is one of those ones where you'd asked me to kind of shorten it up or make it more succinct. I realized it was kind of awkward, so I still trying. I guess what I'm trying to say is the top one's the easiest one. You don't have to do anything, and you can start working with it. And the bottom one, you have to do a little bit more work.
Right.
You have to log in.
Right.
So.
Okay. Yeah, that makes yeah. So just so I'm clear, so if somebody were to choose like not now, open access, then they could if they found the link, they could click on the link and be able to, I guess, see all the personal information, but their contact or their URL and all their information wouldn't be recorded. Right?
Yeah, well, and that's where they could, but the question is, we'll want to see of it, what do you want available? Maybe name, age, and gender is available, but nothing else.
Okay.
So maybe, open access, name, age, and gender, but all the other stuff, if you put it in, you don't get to see it. It's a one-way street. We'll have to kind of think about that, but my thoughts are, if you have it like not now open access, the analogy is kind of like that unattended check-in where you have an envelope that you can put in information about your vehicle and you slip it into the box. You're always allowed to put more information in, but you can never kind of reach into the box and see what's there. Okay. And so I was thinking kind of like that, but it would be nice to have the name, age, and gender available, because if I'm access the trip and I say I'm an emergency contact on this trip, it might be nice to be able to see the names. That way, at the trip plan, I tell you. So we will need to.
If I'm the emergency contact, allow me to see the name, age, and gender without breaking the glass. Is that what it is? That?
Well, I think it's if you're the emergency contact, you see everything, and you have to break the glass. But I'm wondering if before you break the glass, if everyone's allowed to see name. Well, kind of think about the security on that one, but it seems like it would be just good to know who. It's not like going on a trip is a bad thing.
Right.
So
I think that's a good idea, having everyone allowed access to the name, age, and gender, and then to get more information, then you would have to break the glass.
Yes.
I think that's a good idea. Okay.
And then my thought is, if this was open access and you wanted to make it your own, you'd say, okay, well, I want to make this my own. You would take all the information. There would be an alert saying, whoever is your emergency contact on the open access account, saying like, all right, this open access account is now a verified access. The person, Andrew Kursk, is now being verified by andrewkursk@gmail.com, and will let everyone else know. And if I know for a fact that that's not your if I notice that there's an extra vowel or something there,
right.
I, as your emergency contact, can look out for you and say, hey, Andrew, did you just, is this your email or something like that? And I would have the ability, I can help you as your emergency contact for two things. One is I'm alerted if there's a genuine emergency, and I can I can help. There's probably a care plan in place, things you might need me to do, as well as if no danger happens at all, but something that's possibly a nefarious or improper attempt to access your information, as your emergency contact, I would be alerted and I could reach out to you.
Okay.
So you get a cyber benefit and a physical benefit.
Right. Okay. I got it. That makes sense.
So,
That makes sense.
so anyways, then you go on through here. And need to kind of, this screen I need to fix the UI a little bit, so it's just a little clunky, but yeah, you can go here and just kind of proceed.
Yeah.
And it gives you the, and my thought is, I don't know if you see this, but I'm trying to make this like a SOAP note.
Yeah, for sure.
And even here, like on this one, we could have kind of a, I was just trying to think what good feedback would be if it's useful. Like we could have like just an icon showing kind of what the person looks like, kind of like a logo. We'll just leave it like this as is, but we can kind of do more stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, I think after that it's kind of, oh, cool. And then this is the part where with the physical membership, and so, yeah, I thought this was, because I didn't like the drop downs before.
Right.
So, and then I got rid of, you had said you wanted feet and inches, so I put that in there. Nice. And I thought, centimeters was kind of, that seemed like that was an extra option that wasn't needed. Right. 1 meter is 9 feet. And the nice thing about the metric system is it's very easy to convert from centimeters to meters. So,
right. So just the.
But then but if you could go ahead and fill this out, there's some interesting feedback, and I want to make this. And we talked a little bit about translation because people who are hiking might come from different countries. So right. That's why they're, that's why they might need this translation. And then people doing the rescue might have different preferences as well. If you hit confirm. And so what this does is this gives you feedback right here. I was trying to come up with like a simple way of just saying, hey, you put this information in. I don't know. Just that trying to figure out some sort of a multilingual way of doing the feedback.
Right. This is good. I like this. It gives it the conversion factor, so that's good. Or the conversion, yeah.
Yeah, and you had mentioned something else about language translation, which I think is a cool idea. And I think it would be, for language translation on the web, you might be able to do that just by just having different URLs. But it almost seems language translation would be a whole lot easier if you could log in. And then after you log in, that's just one of your preferences. We know what language you speak.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
I think anonymous ones where you don't need a language translation is tricky, and that's why you want to have a PanSurvival account. If you have a PanSurvival account, it will handle all translation for you. I guess maybe that could be the value add.
Yeah.
So, and I still got some of the other ones to work out the other details. I had it on the smaller screen, so still filling it out. But the notification options, that's right now, that's where you have contact information. And I was thinking that you'd want to have, physical contact information, but also the online contact information, because that's likely to be really useful, especially in to break the glass.
For sure. For sure.
Yeah, so this one you might have to get to this one. You scroll up to the top and just hit that top red bar where it says Wilderness Expedition. Cool. And then go to person survey data at the top. And go to describe your physical appearance in purple. So, and this is stuff where we're at before. I'll have the screen on here, but that's where I believe you had some feedback here for maybe make
I was just
sound
thinking
back.
that you put, like, just like it is, that you would just type it in yourself, no drop-down menus or anything. Maybe just put shoe type, color, and because I've been doing some reading, and a lot of people just, well, at least in Alaska, they do a bunch of like literally like man tracking, you know. So if they were to have an idea of what shoe you're wearing and how large your foot is, and what the tread looks like, they could potentially track you, especially in the snow or something. So I guess that's what I was thinking, is that instead of putting shoe color and description, you just put shoe type. What did I say? Hold on. Shoe type, shoe size, and then maybe allow to upload a picture of the tread. Maybe that's too much, but I don't know.
Well, I think that's like we have the catch-all add photo for sure.
Right.
And maybe we allow multiple photos, but at least one.
Yeah.
Okay, so instead of saying shoe color description, let's just say we'll say describe
describe the shoe type, and your shoe size, I guess. And then maybe maybe another place to add another photo, and like, you know, you could just say what's the word? You know, you don't need to make it like required for them to do it, but if they want to upload their photo, they can.
Yeah. So right now I've got describe shoe type and size. I update that next time you get to this screen. If you hit that back arrow and then get back to the top left.
Gotcha.
And then you can scroll down. That's obviously using the older one. So describe shoe type and size.
Yeah.
And then maybe call it optional shoe photo.
Yeah. Yeah, that'd be great. That'd be good. Yeah.
All right. Well, and that's where I think if you have a mobile device, all these things like having a camera is a real nice way to do data entry.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Sure. And then I was also thinking, instead of other clothing description, maybe put like your primary clothing description. You know, we can choose different words or whatever, but I was just thinking, like, if you're in a winter environment, more likely than not, you have you have one outer layer that has a particular color. You know, you're not like changing up your rain jacket or something based upon the colors. So if you just had like one general item, then you can put in like, I have an orange or a blue mammoth rain jacket, and that'll probably be on me most of the time. You know what I mean?
Maybe like exterior clothing.
Yeah.
Not the right layer, but something
like outer layer clothing description, or exterior clothing description, or what else could we use?
I mean, you could say observable clothing description.
Yeah. Describe your, or you could say describe your,
describe.
let me think.
And now you'd use the word clue or key clue or significant clue or something like that. Describing.
I don't know where I was going with that, but what I was thinking is that if you did get lost, then, and you were going to start trying to find your way back, then at the point that you knew you were lost, you could like leave something. And then people that are coming to look for you have an idea of like where you were, like where you were at some point. That was my idea. I don't know if it's really helpful or not. I have to ask the state troopers and search and rescue guys, but um, that
Some
was the
sort
way.
of a type of thing.
Yeah, like maybe I have like an orange bandana, with like a red cross on it or something. I don't know. And then you leave that, and then everyone on the team that's searching for you knows that if they find an orange bandana, then that's related to you, and so that they can kind of start gearing their search towards that. But that might not be. That's what I think what would happen, but that might not actually be the case. So I have to figure out if that's even useful or not. But that was my idea.
Okay.
Um, let's see. Outer clothing.
And I think just to begin, so right now, just say, describe observable outer clothing.
Yeah, that sounds good. Yeah.
Maybe just observable clothing or accessory. Because
Yeah,
my
that's
thought is, if you've got a bone through your nose, well, shoot, that's a great clue.
right, for sure.
Yeah, any shirt that you have, or, I mean, to that point, um, boy, that'd be a really great clue if I knew that you were an amputee,
Right.
and you had a prosthetic leg. You
Right.
can kind of, there's a bunch of other things that would be nice, so you could almost give someone the opportunity to describe anything about themselves.
Right. So
But I
maybe,
figured maybe adding a photo is nice, because
yeah,
then you don't have to describe it.
exactly. Yeah. So yeah, the photo, great. Um, yeah, and then maybe think about putting an extra um, section for you to include, like, I don't know, personal traits or something. But I think the photo takes care of that, assuming they want to put a photo in. Um, but just maybe something to think about would be to include another. You have described shoe type and size. You have the clothing description, and then maybe another box for like personal. I don't know what you would use, what word you would use, but
If you go
characteristic.
back, if you hit that last back arrow and then go forward again, you can see what I've updated, and then you hit proceed.
Let's see. Okay. Oh, nice. That's awesome. Perfect. I
So
like that.
we'll kind of work on this one. I mean, I think the UI's got to work, but functionally something like that.
Right, for sure. I like this. It looks good.
Cool. Yeah, it's interesting to kind of to get this kind of tighten this one down, and so I mean, I guess these would be questions just to kind of validate with the troopers. But then all this stuff, all this information that you have here, it will then be played back in that trip report, so you don't have to show them all the data entry. This is
Okay.
just for
Right. Well, that
let's
would be
put it in.
awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, because that's the part where you'll just say, yeah, but then the next one, right, not the next one, it's the one after this one. So you have this next one is, you're going to provide your contact information. This
Right.
is what we have right now, and I'm thinking about making a distinction between, direct messaging, which is a phone or a physical address, and
Mm-hmm.
electronic messaging. And then I figure with electronic messaging, you can put on as many as you wanted. You can add your email,
Right.
but you have as many accounts you want to go on Twitter, Facebook. The more accounts that you have associated with it, the higher the chances that we really know who you are, is my thought.
Right. Right.
Um,
Yes. That
and
sounds
maybe
good.
we do extra, you get better grades for that. Um, so, and again, this is all stuff for that, as we put this one through, it'd be nice to kind of have, I'm thinking that there would be many people that would fill this information out, when you get that information from, a past trip,
Right.
that that the club had, and hopefully it's one with an incident, or getting ask for a couple scenarios to simulate. Then you could do that whole kind of survival one, or simulation. You could do kind of like a tabletop exercise where you just do it in a room and you just simulate that there, or do the real thing to the extent that you can. So this has a whole lot of text in here. I think we'll want to make that more succinct once I got the other fields in there.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Let me. What was my question? Let's see. Should we include like a page like this one, kind of, but for the emergency contact, like what information the emergency contact has to put in to be an emergency contact? You know what I mean?
I was thinking, yes. I was thinking that, and we would have the option for you could type it in, or you could send them the link and then they fill it out. With kind of like the whole theme on this one, that it makes it very easy for you to collaborate on getting to collaborate and compile the information. And it's probably better verified that way too.
Right. Okay. So either.
Perhaps like when they get that link, it could be pre-filled. If I started to put your information in there, it could be pre-filled, and you could update that or confirm that I got it right.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
And so that's one of the flows I'll need to simulate. I showed how the break the glass works. I'm going to make a version of that flow saying, this is how the add information works. If you're the emergency contact. And yeah.
And those workflows are really helpful for me, but also when I go to explain it to people, I think having those available is pretty awesome. It's a good visualization.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is not trying to think, a simple concept to understand. Just the whole, who can see what and when. So.
Yeah. So it's nice having that.
That's good. I was hoping the message in a bottle analogy will hold through.
Yeah.
We'll see.
I like it. I think it's a great idea.
So, all right. So after this, we'll add some more information for your electronic addresses. And again, this will need to I'll get that data in there, and then I'll work across all 3 screen sizes.
Gotcha.
It's just functional. But if you proceed here, then we'll go into your emergency contact. And so this is that part I just kind of thought is you have 1 or 2 options, and that top option would provide you a link. Say, all right, just go ahead and share this, or tweet it, or whatever. And anyone in your network that claims to be your emergency contact will put that in there, and you might have 1,000 people claim to be your contacts at that point. And then that's the part where there are those edge case scenarios. But I think at some point, you want it really accessible, and then once you start to have a lot of data, you can start prioritizing, saying, well, I've got 1,000 contacts, but only 1,000 people said that they're my emergency contact, but of the 1,000 people, only 2 of them are PanSurvival account members, so maybe they're, higher up.
Right.
Or figure that stuff out. I think that's where you'll start to have your product have the subtle differentiation. So if you just use the free open one, that's cool. A lot of information is flowing back and forth. Once it starts to become information overload, that's when it would be good for you to get a PanSurvival account, because that would have the ability to just know some of your preferences and control your information for you. So it's easier. It can sift it a little bit better for you.
For sure.
And that, of course, is advanced use cases that we don't have, but I thought we could tease for that.
Yeah.
So I don't have the simulation here, but I do plan to have a simulation showing how you send it out to someone, and then also
Okay.
simulate how you get it. And if you like that big picture one, I'll add more the big picture on how that works too.
Yeah, that'd be great. That'd be really great.
So if you do that first one, um, that top one there, you can proceed. And this is the one where um, level. This is the part where it's a little loose. So we have the
Yeah.
self-assessment, and you're like, well, could we have 1 to 10? And my thought is, well, what are you supposed to? I mean, are there 10 different types of outdoor experience, and how would it impact the rescue?
Right.
Uh, the distinction. So we could definitely do 1 through 10, and it could be, you know, qualifications within each of those. But I wasn't sure, if it's a
Oh,
self-assessment, if it's easier to say, okay, are you an introvert, an extrovert, or
right.
both?
Yeah.
I
No,
kind of,
you're right. Yeah, I agree. It would be hard to figure out what each number would be. Um, come up with a word through one through. Yeah. Yeah. You're right. I think keeping
but
it
I,
like it.
and I still want to improve the UI on this one, but I think for someone else, though, like someone higher up, they might be able to have some more, they might be smarter, but it sure would be nice to know that the guy that planned the trip is also a newbie,
Right.
like, so you're already like, in the trip plan, we don't have this in there, but I was thinking we these are kind of neat extra pieces of information saying, um, someone's reported that Andrew didn't check in. Everyone's physically fit. Everyone has a high degree of outdoor experience, but they said that they needed assistance with navigating the area. Um,
Right. Okay.
and who knows? That other stuff to kind of. So I figured these are really good questions. We would want to just kind of standardize what they mean, and since
Right.
I was looking, I don't know if there's an industry standard for those types of questions. If there were, I would want to grab those, reuse their values.
Right.
Uh,
Right.
but, so
And I can do some research, see if there's any industry standards for that.
yeah, I mean at the very least, I mean I could take a look at my um, the club, and I hope you don't mind a little background noise. It's going to take my dog out and put her
Yeah,
on
no
the
worries.
outside leash.
Nice.
Um,
What kind of
but
dog do you got?
oh, she's a Heinz 57. She's like a 35 pound of everything. She was a
Wow.
pure black lab when I rescued her.
Oh,
So yeah,
that's good that you rescued her. That's pretty awesome.
yeah. So this is definitely and I've done a fair amount of outdoor stuff with her. I wonder how that fits. There's I guess some trips they get to do pack animals.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
Um,
sorry, keep going.
oh yeah, so I guess that's for a future iteration. Um, but anyway, so I guess that's I think that's where we are with the simulation. Everything that I have on that, in terms of showing the simulation to walk through.
Right.
Um, the items that look like they're still mobile phones and that's all they have, I kind of have, and I guess I didn't do a really good job introducing the approach for this one, but there's kind of 4 levels of things I need to work on, and one of them is the visual appearance. And so I tend to go through just kind of big picture, what are our big picture use cases that we're trying to do,
Right.
kind of then just get the function so we figure out what the data is and what the logic is. And then the last piece is kind of get the visual appearance to look more like like a solution would look. And
Gotcha.
so that's, it's good to have
Yeah.
all of those so it doesn't get distracting, but some of them, that's kind of where the approach is on those.
Gotcha. Gotcha. And I'll talk to my teachers. I'll try to meet with them today, but probably tomorrow, or Thursday, and then maybe they can go through their records and get out like a good user good incident that happened that we could use.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And what would your ideal team be? I mean, so I'm guessing how what would how many people would be in your ideal expedition group? Or I mean, if you could get that feel for it, would be like 5 or
Oh yeah, it would
and
be well, if it was a school trip, it would probably be at least 8 people.
okay.
There'd be 8 people, probably 2 instructors. Um, yeah, and what else could I tell you about it? Yeah, I don't, I would, I'll get more info on it and let you know.
Okay. Cool. Yeah, and because I think that'll, and then if I could start, in terms of and I'll add, I've started to improve like the map, the user interface for the map and the location
Right.
stuff. If you start to kind of find some good landmarks or something that I could put in there, that'd be awesome. And then
Okay.
I'll have the functionality too, where you can just kind of create your own landmark too.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
Okay.
and then so I think that's it on the simulation. On the Word document, on that Google document, I put in, just kind of put in some more thoughts on kind of what we're doing, why we're doing it, and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
I saw that. I saw that.
Oh, cool. Well, then I'm thinking. Oh, well, the last piece is, have you been able to download that iRise app?
Oh, I was just looking at that. Yeah.
Because if you do, because then I mean that's really the easy. That'd be the easiest way for you to follow it. I mean, looking at your monitor, the resolution on the iPad Pro or the size of the iPad Pro might even be bigger than your laptop.
Oh yeah, it for sure. Okay, so I'm on it now, and it wants me to. It has username, password, encrypted TLS, and port number that it wants me
Okay.
to fill out. Do you know what I do there?
Yeah. So there's a couple pieces of information. So what you'll need to get is, and it's the easiest if you could kind of put this in, write this down, or you're going to need. So the address is, I believe, it's on the link in the website when you're at the iRise simulation. I think it's called iriseforlife.dc. Or do you have that? I'm not in front of the computer right now. That link when you're looking at the simulation, like the first part, I think it says like iriseforlife.dc.irise.com or something like that on the web address.
There it goes. iRise for Life Wilderness Survival and Rescue Software Prototype.
Okay, but in the address bar in your browser.
Oh, sorry.
That's all right. And this is like kind of this one-time setup's difficult, but then it's easier to find it
Right.
after that.
Okay, yeah. iriseforlife.dc.irise.com.
Okay, so that's what you need to put into the address
Okay.
for the connection properties. And I think it's secured. If it's HTTPS, I think it is. You have to put down the check mark to say secured.
Okay. iRise for Life. .dc.irise.com. What should I put for username?
Just use mine. So it's and I can see if I could get I've got a couple definition centers, but this is the one I normally just use for starters. Just use mine. So it's T Calice. So it's TCALICE.
Okay.
And the password is, it's capital B, born, the number 2, run.
Okay, and then the port number?
I think you just leave that as is.
Okay. It's just blank right now.
Yeah, I think that should just work, and I just got back so I could check my
Okay.
my settings.
Let me choose connect here, and it's loading. Let's see what happens. Let's see here. Might have frozen. I'm not sure.
And it might, there's a little bit, I mean, so it might be a little bit of a load that first time you access it, because I think it might be bringing a bunch of things locally, so it goes a little faster.
Okay. Let's see.
And I'm opening it up on mine to kind of get the same thing.
Keeps telling me there's no internet connection, but I mean I have one. Oh wait.
Okay. Yeah. So you have encrypted TLS. So definition center is iRiseForLife.dc.irise.com. Username is tcalise, all lowercase. Password is born to run. And encrypted TLS is turned on, and then port number is blank.
Okay. Can you give me the password again? Sorry.
It's born, capital B, then O, lowercase O-R-N, the number 2, run.
Okay. Born to run. Okay, so let me try connecting again. The first time I had your user. Oh, nice. Here we go. Getting project.
You got it? Cool.
Yeah, I got it. Awesome. And then I can go to projects, PanSurvival.
You should see it fills up the screen pretty well. And that's why you can see why I tend to pick the, when I build the screens, I tend to use the bigger buttons and stuff so it fits your fingers.
Right. Oh, there we go. Awesome. Very cool.
So, well, and while you're looking at this one, now we can, and I've got it up, I'm looking at that bottom part. You had changed the wording, senior project, had your outline there.
I saw you change it.
Perfect. And then under the share trip plans, I mean, my thought, I'm still kind of brainstorming that, but maybe you could have a feed, like a Twitter. Do you do much with Twitter?
No, not too much, but I know what you're talking about. That'd be a good idea.
My thought is maybe we could have in there. I mean, and that could help us with our simulation too. That share trip plans. That was just kind of like some ideas on what you could have. But my thought is maybe we could have a Twitter feed, and it could be simulating there. So every time, anytime anyone does anything with a trip plan, says, "Hey, someone just filed a trip plan."
And then it would show up on the feed.
Yeah, it can show up on the feed, and so that way you can kind of say like, well, and so that might be kind of a neat way to use that. Yeah, so kind of small little things there.
Now, can I when I'm using the iRise app and I'm trying to like click overnight trip, it doesn't do anything. Is that because I need a mouse or something, or?
Let's see. So you're on the main screen. You hit that flag. It says overnight trip.
The flag. The overnight trip. Yeah.
Or I'm trying to see where you are. Where are you on that main thing where it says where you see the 3 radio buttons for expedition team, interested bystander, and rescue team?
Well, it started off on that screen, and then it went to the picture of a cell phone.
Oh, if you went from portrait to landscape, I think you need to have it in wide mode.
Oh, okay. Okay. I was in. Let me see here. I think I got it.
Yeah, so that overnight trip thing, I didn't have that link in there. That one, I'll add that.
Oh, okay.
The link on that one.
Yeah, I got it now. I understand.
So
that's working. Okay, cool.
Eventually though, all those things will just seamlessly go through.
Perfect. Yeah.
And then that the main one, if you ever need the big picture, I figure like that the bottom part could just always bring you up to the high level picture of what we're doing.
Right. Yeah, that'd be great. Oh yeah, that's perfect, because then it would just be right accessible, and then I can just show somebody real fast. Yeah, that's perfect.
Yeah, and I figured that, I mean, that one is easier to navigate without getting people distracted than that flow chart thing that sometimes we need to go through. So
for sure, for sure, for sure. Well, this is awesome. Very excited.
Cool. Yeah, it's turned out to be pretty you know, pretty interesting. Just the different resources involved.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I guess that's kind of what I have on my end. So I'm looking forward to just kind of getting some simulation data on your end.
Yeah.
On my end, I'm finishing off, what a trip plan looks like. I'm going to use the data elements that you have, but I'm going to try to format it. I was going to experiment with some formatting that more resembles what might look like an emergency report.
Yeah.
And my thought is the safest bet is match whatever you see. Then that would be a better chance of them liking it, and maybe there's custom reports per emergency contact, so we could figure that out.
For sure.
So.
And I'll get that info for sure. Awesome.
Nice, man. Well, I think that's. I don't really have much else. Let me just take a look at the documents, and if you have anything else, let me know too.
No, that's everything for me.
Okay.
You're doing a really good job. I appreciate it. It's pretty awesome.
Oh, you're welcome. Well, it's I've been I've been in those final senior projects. You're in good shape to have normally I've had mine in the past where it's like last minute, but this should be pretty. I think this one should be pretty bulletproof. But
yeah, I'm
by the
excited.
time it goes through.
Yeah. I'm usually one of those people that does everything last minute, but I'm trying to change it up.
Well, nice. Well, there's still other stuff we could do. One of the if we do get this thing locked down, one of my friends, he does he does apps and stuff like that, and he could perhaps I don't know if there's enough time, but if we get this simulation really locked down, he could make up an app for this that could be brought down conceivably. I can't get an estimate from him until we get the sim down, but the benefit of having the app is you don't need an internet connection for it to work. Yeah, but you just need it for sharing the data. So
yeah, that'd be cool. That's definitely a plus if that happens, for sure.
Nice. Oh, cool. I see your splash pictures, your pictures you throw in there too. Nice.
Well, I'm not the best photographer, and I just went through and saw some pictures that kind of looked okay, but I'll try to find some more. Try to get some from my friends that I've been on trips with. Those are just the ones that I had. Nothing too special.
And I wasn't going to go overboard too much on it, but I thought like that first intro screen to kind of have some picture that maybe the emergency access screen's got the splash background of one thing versus another.
For sure. Yeah.
So, yeah, and I think I'm just going through to see if there's anything else. Let me see if this is accurate. Linda goes on an overnight trip on her own. She downloads PanSurvival, fills out the trip plan container.
Might have answered that already.
Okay.
Let me see here. Where did I write that down?
Yeah. Oh, it's in the Google document.
Oh, okay.
She then goes on to fill out her personal information, rescue information. Since she chose secured access, if someone were to access her trip plan, break the glass, the person accessing the trip would be recorded. If she chose open access, then without any security, and my thought is it would still be recorded, but she would not necessarily be electronically notified because we didn't know how to contact her.
All right. I just wanted to. I just wrote that just so I had like a general like you did the workflow, so that answers that. I just wanted confirmation, I guess.
Yeah, and I guess that's cool. And then the other one is just medical information, and we've got those questions to go from now.
Right.
But since that'll be pretty useful, because if the first responder class, how many days is it?
It's a whole semester, so
Okay.
it's a pretty intensive one. Yeah, it doesn't end until December 12th.
Like, oh, cool. I mean, the class I took, it was just, it was intensive, but it was like 10 days.
Right, right.
And so we only had one, but after the first day, I think the first 2 days, there were some parts that were really abbreviated in terms of the assessments.
Right.
Like, we learned all the different ways to assess people within 2 days, and everything else was like just on treatments and all that other stuff. So,
right.
we could probably use some of that too.
For sure. For sure.
So, awesome, man. Well, I guess that's all I have.
Okay. Yeah.
And then, unless is this kind of a good time to connect next week?
Yeah. This would be perfect.
Okay. Awesome. Well, that should be. I think that should be pretty close to. Well, so my goal then is next Tuesday we've got everything set up for you to kind of present to, to kind of get a reaction from the first responders on what they think about the information, and then how they could possibly receive the information today. Obviously,
Right.
we know they can receive it verbally. Do they have other things? And then we can put that into the instructions.
Yeah, that sounds good.
So.
I made a mistake on the dates. I'm going to meet with them next Tuesday, so we should meet on Monday, on the 26th.
Okay. Is there a better time of the day then?
Earlier is better.
If you send me a calendar invite, I can accept. I don't trust myself with doing time zone changes, especially since like we're about to do the fallback, and not all time zones adhere to them the same way.
Yeah.
So if you want, I could send you an invite and just let me know if you want me to do it a couple hours earlier, or send me a Google invite.
Yeah, and so we've been doing it, just do it like 2 hours earlier would be perfect.
Okay, so 2 hours earlier than this time on Monday next week.
Correct.
Cool.
Now, if that works for you.
Yep, that'll work for me, and then this is good for me to take care of that, because I'm going to be scarce for, I think, 2 weekends or a couple weekends. That's where I start doing some travel and a couple back-to-back weddings and stuff like that. So I wanted to make sure that you were all you were you had a good idea of what this would look like, how it would work, and you were just kind of at the part where you can just start testing it out to see to poke holes in it.
For sure.
So,
yeah, this is awesome. This is really awesome.
Awesome. Well, cool. I'll send you an invite a little bit later on today, and I think that's it. Or that's all I have from my end. So
I'm all good too.
Cool. All right. Well, have a good rest of the day, and good luck with connecting with everyone as school is getting back.
Yeah, thank you.
So, cool, man. Well, I'll let you go, and we'll be in touch later as we get more information.
All right.
And I've been reading the comments, so if you have any ideas, feel free to put those in there, and I'll see them too.
All right, will do.
So.
Will do.
All right, Andrew. Talk to you later. You're welcome.
I'll talk to you soon. Bye.
All right, bye.